Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Indie Corner Radio. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got an awesome guest here. She hasn't been on the show before or any of my shows yet, but I'm very happy to have her. Please welcome Danielle Munday. How you doing, Danielle?
Hi, I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I pronounced your last name right, right? I always
You
like to
did.
check. Okay.
It's just like the day of the week, but with a
Okay.
U.
But with a
hmm
U,
Very
which is
very
interesting.
weird. No
Yeah.
idea why, no idea how that originated, but it's been
You don't know how
generations.
that
So
originated, so have you ever asked your parents?
no, I just know my great great grandfather had that name, and that's
You know,
just
maybe that was like the thing. Like they had Monday, they wanted the day of the week, and then they just changed it at some point. Maybe somebody didn't know how to spell Monday, like the
maybe
right way.
they probably spelt the name wrong. That's probably what happened.
Yeah,
Um, I've definitely spelt it wrong before myself, and I get that joke constantly. Like,
well,
oh,
yeah.
why you're going to be named a day of the week? Why would you be named the absolute worst day of the week? I'm like, I don't know. Ask my great 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 grandfather because
I
I
mean,
have no clue.
is it really the worst day of the week? I know there's that joke with Office Space, like, somebody has a case of the Mondays, but really, is it really that bad of a day? I don't think so.
I mean, for me personally, I've always worked very bizarre hours. So Monday doesn't have any like specific meaning to me. I mean, like Monday's probably my quietest day, honestly. Mondays I usually do a half day. So for me it's great.
So for you, it's a good day.
It is a
Um,
good day. It is a
I
good
think
day.
every day is a good day that ends in Y,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, so anyway, we're
Yeah,
gonna
I agree.
we're gonna we're gonna talk about your like first of all, how long have you lived in the States, or do you live in the States?
I do. I do. I live in Louisville. I actually live in Indiana, but it's like right on the border. So I live
Okay.
in southern Indiana, and then downtown Louisville is just over a mile from where I live. And I have lived here for almost 7 years. So I'm from Oxford, very close to London, and I moved here early 2017. And before I moved here, I was kind of back and forth to Florida. So I would come to the US, spend a few months in Florida, go home, come back, go home, and then, my visa and everything went through, and I decided to move out here permanently.
That's awesome.
hmm
Yeah, we're very happy to have you. Um,
Yeah, happy to be here.
it must be like,
It's
because I always wonder, because like when people are from another country and they come and they have a beautiful accent like yours, they must get a lot of work for characters that are English, pretty much like that, right?
Yeah, like I don't think I've been asked to do an accent different to my own. I've been asked to kind of tone it down or maybe kind of emphasize my accent, but I've not been asked to do an American accent or any other. So that's
Okay, well,
been
that's
it's
that's
been
cool.
easy for me. hmm
Yeah, well, can you do an American accent if they ask?
Um, I've had to do an American accent in the past. It's probably been I would say about 12 years since I had to, and it was for a musical theater performance of Chicago. And I think I was like 18 years old, and we all had to do American accents. And I thought it went well, but you might think differently if you watched the play.
I
So,
don't know. I
hmm
mean, I don't know which one's easier or harder. Like, is a British accent easier than an English accent or like American accent?
I think it's probably the same. Like I
Yeah.
hear people impersonate me all the time, and it sounds strange, probably because I know them and I know how they sound. but at the same time, it's not. I mean, it's not accurate. It's not accurate. And I think it's always better to use somebody for a piece. I mean, you've got some of these incredible actors. You've got Gerald Butler, and he puts on an American accent for like the majority of his movies. But I can still tell. I can still tell it's not authentic. And you can be so talented and you can do the best accent, but it's never going to be as accurate as somebody that has that accent. And I just think it's better to use people that sound the way that you want them to sound.
That's probably true.
And I've always thought that, honestly. That's why I don't really like to do too many accents. I will if I have to, and I've had to, and it's fun, and you learn, and you maybe like work with a dialect coach, and it's educational, but it's still I still don't like doing it because it's never going to sound the way
authentic.
that I want it to sound. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, Tom Holland, though,
Mm,
I'll just say,
mm,
like, I've heard his normal accent, and then I've heard him play Spider-Man, and I'm
mm-hmm.
just like, I had no idea for the longest time that he was not even, I thought he was an American, so for the longest time. So and then I heard him like speak at it behind the scenes, and I was like, whoa. You just never know sometimes. Some people are really good, and that comes
Yeah.
from getting taught with the dialect coach and working really hard at it.
And I thought you would have to just talk, kind of talk with that accent for a while. Like you would have to just almost live your everyday life with that accent. Like when Heath Ledger was playing the Joker, he stayed in character the whole time. And that was just, every day he woke up and he talked to people in that character. And I think that that's definitely something that would help,
Are you,
just to.
well, you're saying for like a method acting, right? Or something, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think, and it applies if if you're having to do like if I was being cast in a movie and I had to have a southern accent, like I wouldn't just spend an hour a day kind of working on that. I would probably want to be having my conversations, other maybe not while I'm working, like my regular job, but I would probably want to be having, my regular conversations in that, speaking with that accent, just to give myself that additional practice.
Right.
Yeah. So,
I think that would be kind of fun. I was working on this one project, and this guy, uh, he did have an accent. I forgot what it was. It might have been like, a British accent or something, but for the longest time, he kept talking outside of the movie with that accent. And I thought, oh man, I thought he was like British or whatever. And so I said
mhm.
something to him. He goes, no, I'm American. Like, and he just kept it going so that he didn't lose it, I guess. And I was like, okay, that's kind of neat. I never thought about that. Like, you probably don't want to lose it.
It's like so I used to work with a girl from Hungary, and she had studied English for 7 years in school, and she could not speak. She could not hold a conversation until she actually moved to the UK and was forced to speak with that accent every day. Like she had no choice. And I mean, I think those same principles apply there, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So what was the first project that you ever worked on, whether it be like a play or a film or anything?
So let me think. So I was maybe 7 years old and I started dancing. Like I was very involved, like contemporary dance, tap dance, a bit of ballet, but
Mm.
more for the technique as opposed to actually enjoying the style of dance. I did some jazz, some hip hop, and gymnastics, and I was just very involved in movement. Like I liked being up on my feet. I loved prancing around. I was very young. I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that time. And then I think I was about 15 or 16, and because I wasn't quiet, but I would get a bit of stage fright. Like I didn't necessarily like talking in front of the class. So the idea of I did take drama in school, but I did feel stage fright. Like I would get stage fright, and I would opt for characters with minimal lines, like two lines here or ensemble lines, and I kind of, I guess I grew out of that because I went at 16, I took a diploma in acting. So it was mostly theater, and I was never much of a singer. So anything involving theater, I was always, I would get cast. I'm trying to think. We did Medea, and I had the Greek play, and I
Mhm.
had a very big role in that, and that was a lot of fun. Chicago, I was given a lot of lines, a lot of dance parts, because I was like, absolutely no, I am not singing. I cannot sing, and nobody even asked me to sing. That was fine. That was fine. Maybe in chorus or miming. So I would say, yeah, I was about 16, and I kind of just, I would read a lot of plays. I would read a lot of plays, and I would watch a lot of TV, and I would watch a lot of theater, and I would think, this is so fun. Like you get to play all these different characters. And I think one of the first, it was a movement piece that we did, like a physical theater piece that we did called Decadence. And I was 16, 17, and I had, I just fell in love with acting, I would say at this point. I mean, I had tried a few other things, and it never really sat well with me. I was like, I'm just going to stick to dance. And then we did this like theater piece, and I just came out of my shell, and I had all these lines, and I was so nervous. I thought, I'm never going to remember all these lines. And I remembered everything. I did so well. I was graded really well, and I had probably 200 people sitting in front of me, huge audience. And I just absolutely fell in love with acting at that point. And then, and then I had 2 more years of this diploma. And I would pick all these big roles because I wanted to get the experience. And I would think, even if I don't do a good job, even if I mess up, even if it's not a character that suits me very well, like it doesn't matter. It's all experience. And then I finished high school, started to apply to all these different colleges, would go and visit them. And then there was one in Wales called Aberystwyth, which was, well known for like drama, theater, performance studies, and all, dance, movement. And I went out there, a friend of mine, it was called Aberystwyth. We went to Aberystwyth one day. It was like a 4.5 hour drive. And we kind of looked around the university. We met some of the teachers, and I was like, this is where I want to go. I can already tell I'm going to love it. And I studied, it was mostly theater, and then, some student films as well. And I guess, so I was there, I graduated in 2012, and I started working for a drama school. And I was just teaching, I was kind of directing, putting on these plays. And, we had different age ranges. There were little kids that were like 5 to 7. And then we had kind of middle school age and then high school age. And we would put on these shows. And that's when I realized that I actually also love to teach and direct as well as act. And I guess I wouldn't say I got into film until I moved to the US. So at that point, I started traveling and doing all these other things, and I took a couple of years off, and then I moved to the US, and I just started networking, like going to all these networking events, joining all the groups on Facebook, offering my time for behind the scenes, background, a lot of, you have to hustle, you have to do, what it takes to make the connections. And I would say 2 or 3 years ago, I met somebody, a friend of mine called Miles. He's a director in Louisville, and I think I played a zombie in one of his movies, and I went there and they had to do all that makeup, and I didn't have any lines. It was just,
Or
being a zombie for 2 minutes. Um, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. And that's just an example of one connection that I made. And then a year later, he reached out to me, and he'd been working on this piece called The Pure and the Damned, like a mafia type series. And the script the script was all written out. I auditioned, and I was cast as the as Karen, who was the main character's mom. Um, excuse me. And I've been kind of focused on that project for a couple of years. So acting and producing this one. It's called The Pure and the Damned. It's on Amazon Prime,
nice,
and it's 3 episodes. And we're actually going to be filming a second season starting next year.
nice.
So yeah, that was another piece. And then just, doing a lot of background on some bigger movies. I just worked, I think it was just one day, I worked on the Red Right Hand with Orlando. It was starring Orlando Bloom and Andy McDowell. And that was actually very exciting. It was a huge set out past the Grange, and I think it was last summer. It was 90 degrees, and I mean, miserable heat, absolutely miserable, especially considering we were having to wear like long sleeves and pants and boots and everything.
Yeah,
It
you
was,
had to look like you were cold, right?
yeah, yeah. Oh my goodness. But it was still as miserable and uncomfortable as I was. It was such a fantastic experience. Like just meeting these people and being on set with these huge names, just being in a scene,
Yeah.
just doing something in the background, but still very, very exciting. And that's kind of what I've been focused on since I've been here. I did so much theater, worked in London, worked in Oxford, did so many stage plays, loved every minute of it. But it's very, theater is very time consuming. If you want to do a play, then you have to have four evenings a week free to go to rehearsals. And with film, it's not necessarily like as time consuming. You can
Right.
go like I did a movie recently, and I think we did a couple of read throughs on Zoom, and then we just showed up on the day of filming and like ran through it a couple of times, and that was that. And I mean,
Right.
it's
It's a little
yeah, it's
different.
a lot of fun.
Theater theater is
Mm.
theater is a lot of fun. I did theater for a little bit as well. And just like you, weirdly enough, I got involved with a theater group that my friend was in, and uh the first day I was there, I was watching I guess them just practice, doing everything, and this woman came up to me and was like, "You look like you're a director." And I already started directing. And so I was like, okay. And then so they had me direct a bunch of kids in this like one act, like sort of small play, but I didn't understand any of it. And so
Yeah.
and the kids understood, they were perfect. They like understood. I guess maybe their parents, helped them out or whatever, but like they understood what they were supposed to do. So I gave it to my assistant director and told her, like, I don't think this is going to be for me, which I think is a really good learning experience for a lot of people, is like knowing because I don't want to screw up a play to, that is, whatever. So I'm sure you sort of realized what your limits are and what you can or can't do as an actor. Or I think you also produce, if I'm correct, you produce that
I
show.
do. I did. I've worked on a couple of pieces, just like putting schedules together, helping with casting, and like doing locations, like scouting locations, and then managing the locations that we had. Um, just putting the productions together, and I love doing that. And I think as an actor, it's so important to have a thorough understanding of how everything works.
Right.
you can't just say, oh, I'm an actor only, because you can be the perfect actor, but you have to know, have to have an idea of how the lighting works, because you need to know kind of what angles, you need to know where the light's coming from. You need to know which way to face, and you need to know how to be able to act in front of a camera. And I mean, yeah, I could act, but I had no idea how to act in front of a camera until later on. And, directors would be like, okay, you need to, we can't see your face. You need to turn 90 degrees this way. And these are all things that you need to be aware of. You have to know, you have to know a little bit about cinematography. You have to know about directing. You have to know how these people work, because you have to be able to work with them. You can't just show up and be like, I'm here to act.
Right.
And I think that's something that not everyone can do. People, people can be quite arrogant, and it just limits you as an actor, and it limits your opportunities. Because recently I worked as a location manager for a Up TV movie. They had come in from LA and they were filming in Louisville. So I was location manager, and then I was, talking to the director, talking to the producer, and they didn't even realize that I did any acting. And I didn't want to be that person that was like, oh, hey, can I audition? I was there to do that job.
Hmm.
And they heard that I did work, in front of the camera, and they asked me if I would send them a reel of some of my work. So I sent them a link to my one of my reels, and they were like, oh, this is great. So yeah, we're going to offer you a part. They said, well, we wish that we'd known sooner, because we could have given you a bigger part, but we're casting for this one role and it's yours if you want it. And I was like, oh wow. So just, that opportunity, you know may have never come up if I hadn't actually gone and got more experience in other. And I'm not gonna I won't say I love location managing. I I understand it better than I did. I hadn't done much of it before, and not for a movie that big. So for me, it was stressful, it was overwhelming, but it was extremely educational, extremely educational. And I gained something, I gained a role in this movie because of that. And that's something that I'm learning. Maybe it's because of my age, maybe it's because I've been in the industry so long, but I just do not advise anyone to say I'm only an actor. I will only act, because it just really, really limits you. It really limits
Exactly.
you.
I was gonna say it limits you as as a yeah, because I like the fact that you actually went out and you did the location managing and you didn't bother them about being cast, because that's a big no-no, period, and especially for
Hmm.
Hollywood. Do
Hmm.
not ask for jobs
No,
or whatever. Just do the
no.
job you're doing and learn, whatever that you have to learn. But then, but I mean, if you're a good actor, people will talk about you, and the word will get out that you do that. So that's great.
Hmm.
That's a great way to look at it. But yeah, and also to go out. Like, I love that you talked about how you did the location managing, and that led to other stuff. But if you hadn't done it, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be moving on. You know.
Exactly, exactly. And it just opens doors, and not even because of the location managing or the role that I was cast in, but I made some amazing connections. I made some great friends, and I made a couple of mistakes,
Mhm.
but you just everybody just treated each other with respect. Everybody helped each other. I mean, it was a great, I really enjoyed working on that project. Um, and I mean, you just really have, it's hard, because you really have to put yourself out there. What I really want to do is spend every second of every day filming monologues. auditioning, signing with agents. But I'm like, I'm also running a business. I'm also bartending. I also go to the gym. I also have a family. I also have friends. It's so hard because you have to make time. Like when something's important to you, you have to make time. And I do, and I definitely make time to send in auditions and film and do what I love. But it's hard because it's honestly, it's all I would want to do is work in that industry. So
Hmm.
you have to be, you have to have a good attitude about it. You can't just say, oh, I want to be a famous actress because I would hate to be famous. That would give me serious anxiety. I like acting because I love playing different characters. It's exciting. I love storytelling. I love reading stories. I love watching plays. I love everything to do with theater and film and television. And I mean, you just have to have the right attitude. And I think a lot of that comes with maturity, experience. But I've seen, I mean, I look back to when I was younger and I definitely missed some opportunities because of like my attitude and because of how young I was. And I look back and I'm like, I could have spent, I was hanging out with friends 6 nights a week when I could have just hung out with them 2 nights a week and then spent the other 3 nights pursuing, pursuing more jobs.
Hmm.
And I mean, you have to love it enough to make it a priority, but at the same time, it cannot be your only priority. Like you have to, I mean, family is an important priority. Being a good person, like doing things for your community, volunteering your time to those in need. I mean, these are all important things. You can't say, I only care about acting, that's all I ever want to do, don't care about anything else.
Hmm.
And I've seen people say that and they're not necessarily any more successful than somebody with a completely different attitude.
Well,
And I mean,
it's also to me, it's also what I think is that, and you touched on it, which is the idea of looking back at your past and realizing you did those things before that those, right? And I don't want to say regrets, but I do want to say like you look back at your past and you're like, now I can do better, you know?
mhm,
And I feel like that should be the way people sort of view, when going into their you know, to their film career or acting career or whatever in the entertainment industry. What you've got, if you weren't serious before, now you're getting serious. At least you know that now. And now you can move on and you can start working on it because like you're not gonna there's no like age where all of a sudden you're not gonna get work. Like, I'm sorry, like there isn't. I know there's a lot of people who say that for different people, like some actors, actresses, they're not, like no. There's always gonna be a role, for somebody. They just gotta find it.
exactly, exactly. You always need, even 80-year-olds. Some people fall in love with acting when they're 60, 70. And I
Hmm.
mean, there's roles for them too, because
Yeah.
there's not that many 70-year-olds that feel like they, want to go out and work 24 hours straight on a movie set. So, I mean, that gives them an advantage too.
Hmm. So I
Definitely.
believe that. Like I truly believe that you really want this, whenever you want this, you know,
Hmm.
you just got to work at it and everything. And like you said, you didn't work before because, or as much as hard as you do now because you were playing with your friends, or whatever, you're hanging
Hmm.
out with your friends doing whatever. And I think that's good that you know that now and you sort of, I think I'm pretty sure you do this, but you probably like monitor your time and you kind of figure out like, today I'm going to do this, tomorrow I'll do that, that kind of thing. And that's what you need to do because, you know, you're going to be busy with your friends, family, loved ones, all that stuff. But you're also going to want to work really, really hard to keep getting where you're going.
Exactly. Time management. Oh my God. If somebody could have told me how important time management was when I was like 15, that would have been amazing. And I'm sure they did. I'm sure I just ignored my mom and my grandparents telling me this. But you do. You need to like just remember your goals, be realistic about your goals, and just don't overwhelm yourself. I mean, I work like 70 hours every single week, and I'm like, that's probably not necessary. But I've always been like that, and I don't have children, and I get my 8 hours of sleep every night, but I do work every single day, 7 days a week. And I've always been that way. And sometimes I have to sit down and have to remember to relax. I have to remember to like prioritize
That's the word I
because
was thinking, actually. Prioritize.
sometimes I'm like, okay, I've just been focused on this for 2 months and your priorities change. Sometimes my priority is working on I have a cleaning business. So like working on my business every day because maybe I have more financial needs that month. So I'm like, okay, well, actually, I'm not going to apply to any acting jobs because I really need to crack down on this and just fund something, something that I need for this month. Or sometimes it's like, okay, I'm exhausted. I've worked nonstop for 2 months and now I'm going to apply to a few jobs, go to some acting workshops, and really focus on that because it's hard. It's hard sometimes. There are so many things that I love doing. Like my uncle always said this to me, like you can do anything, you can do absolutely anything, but you can't do everything. And
That's a that's a good
and it's
line. I like
true.
that.
I mean, you can't, I would love to just like split myself in half and be like, okay, this Danielle, go off and do all the cleaning. This Danielle, focus on only film and TV. And that would be like, that would be amazing. But, we need to sleep, we need to rest, we need to eat. Um, but it's nice. I like living in Louisville. It's very central. I'm thinking about maybe doing some more work down in like Atlanta, Nashville. I've been offered some jobs and sometimes I just say no because it's so far. I'm like, I don't really want to drive 7 hours, or like I wouldn't be able to get there and back by tomorrow. And you make excuses to why you can't. Sometimes they're realistic excuses, sometimes they're just procrastinations. Which I definitely do that a lot too. And sometimes, I mean, I got offered like a commercial that was really cool. It was in Texas and it paid really well, but I was like, okay, well, by the time I paid for like the flight and everything, is it even worth it? But at the same time, like I've taken many unpaid jobs or very low budget films because I just love the script or I love the project or I want the experience. I mean, it's not everybody loves money, everybody loves to be paid, doing what they love. But sometimes it's not only about that. You go to a workout class because you love doing it. You volunteer in a community play because you love being on stage. It's not all about money. You have to really, it's a balancing act,
Yeah.
honestly. And that's another thing that I've realized. Sometimes, you really have to pick and choose and you can play. This is another thing I've been finding is that I did have a period of maybe 4 months where I took on so many projects and I know that my performance suffered because I was doing too much. I was like, this is not, you should be really invested in one or two projects at a time, really be delving into your character and doing research on your character and focusing on that. And when you're taking on like 4, 5, 6 projects at a time, plus a full-time job, plus family, it's just not, I mean, your performance is going to suffer. Like, what are you really gaining? Oh, wow, I got like 6 IMDb credits and extra stuff on my resume. But when you put a reel of all that work together and you show it to somebody, they're going to, directors especially, and writers and producers, they're going to be able to see that you really were half-assing the performance.
Well,
So
how do
that
you find that balance?
so for me, I've got like a limit now. So like I'm working on something called Midas Cove. So I've been like really working on that character for the last couple of weeks. I have not even looked at any other projects. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna finish filming this, and then I have another project that I'm working on. I'm like, okay, well, this is fine for now, these two. And when, when I finish filming my scenes for those, then I will start looking for another project. And I think it's important to feel passionate about what you're doing. Like, don't just take a role because it's a role. You know, find something, like connect with that character. And people will say, "Oh, you were typecast. They're really typecast," and that's like, well, maybe that's just the types of characters they connect with.
Hmm.
I'm very bubbly. I'm very outgoing. I love people. I love being around people, but I love playing kind of mean characters. Like, and I don't know why. I don't know why that
Like
is.
evil mean
Maybe
or like just like
either
mean girl mean?
either mean girl, bitchy. I'm playing like a mob boss for my next role, and I just I enjoy playing those darker, more sinister characters. Maybe it's because it's nothing like me personally,
Well,
and
thank
I'm
God for that,
no, I know, and I'm fine with that though. Like I'm fine with playing similar roles, and I mean I think you just connect. I just connect with those characters more. You just might connect, and I mean obviously the people like Johnny Depp, he can play anything, any character. Like I've seen him play every character, so diverse, such a diverse actor, which is incredible, and I would like to be more diverse, but people really criticize actors that only play certain roles, and I'm like, well, actually that's probably most people. And sometimes you get the actor that's really funny and plays really good, really puts on a great performance for rom-coms or any kind of comedy, and then they try and play like a serious character, and even though they can act, they're a good actor, they deliver the lines well, it's just not them. They just don't click with that type of character, and I think that's okay. Like I'm okay with playing. I mean, I like to like learn and be diverse and be open to playing different characters, but I'm okay with playing like this category
Yeah.
really well, Like why not? Why would I not want to play like the evil villain, drug lord when I play that character well?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just and I'm fine with that. And
So,
people are like people love to just talk about other people and criticize, and it's just a waste of time, honestly.
right. And you get a lot of that. I mean, you get a lot of that in the real world anyway, like people say it happens a lot in the film business, but also happens a lot at McDonald's, people
Mhm.
are just going, it's sort of like the high school cattiness of people,
I
and
I
everything.
know.
We never really grow. I don't think we really ever grow out of the high school
Mhm.
mentality that we have because, we sort of, that's who we, at one point in life, we sort of get defined as.
Mhm.
So um, when we're freshmen to seniors in high school, that's sort of who we will become, as we might just be more, older, some wiser, but like, you know, um, we're the same person in a way. And that's completely fine. But then that means the people that are catty and talk and do all that stuff are the same. People are going to keep doing that, most likely, unless somehow they mature differently,
Learn
and decide
social
that
skills. Mhm.
what
Unlearn social skills. Like they
exactly.
know they think it, but they know not to say it,
Now,
kind of.
as an actor, you got to learn a lot of social like skills and everything. I'm glad that you got out of your stage fright because that is something that I had dealt with too. So fully get it. And so you got out of your stage fright. You're out there acting, or whatever. Do you still ever like feel anxiety or like worried that you're not gonna live up to the character that you're portraying?
Um, if I put in the work, then no, I don't worry. Like this conversation we're having right now, this is scarier for me than acting in front of 100 people.
Really?
Because absolutely, like when I'm playing a character, I just play the character. I just am that character. And if I haven't, I might get nervous if I know I haven't rehearsed enough, or if I know that I haven't really. And that's another reason that I try not to take on so much, because I was doing too much, because I was so worried about building my resume as opposed to, you know, like I spent 2 years on this Pure and the Damned project. And that I learned so much more from that than I did from four small projects combined,
Hmm.
like rushing to this location, like, oh, what am I supposed to wear? Oh, let me just read my lines like right before I go in. And I mean, it's not all about, obviously, it's not all about the lines. It's about the message you're sending. It's about what you're saying, how you're feeling. And I used to, I used to be so focused on the lines. That's another thing that people, I mean, unless it's Shakespeare, but it's just not that important. The lines are not that important. And I did a workshop recently with Vin, who's incredible. He's just incredible at everything. I love him. He's great. And we were doing a duologue, and I was so
Is that what they're
focused on
called?
the
A duologue? Like a
with two
monologue with
people.
two people is a duologue?
Yeah.
I
I
did not
haven't
know
heard
that.
that term. Yeah, I haven't heard that term. Maybe it's just in a long time. I mean, I haven't heard that term in a long time. Yeah, we
Hmm.
always would say duologue. And he just came over and he just took the book from me because I was so worried about like reading my lines and not messing up my lines, even though I knew it was crazy. I knew that the lines were not important. He'd already said the lines are not important. Just deliver your message. And he took the book away, and then I just ad-libbed the whole thing. And it felt so much more real to me. And he was like, that Danielle, it was 10 times better. And I mean, you have to keep doing workshops, you have to keep reading, you have to keep practicing. Sometimes people look at me, sorry, I'm getting a cough.
It's okay.
Sometimes I'll be like reading or like talking to myself, but I'm like rehearsing,
Hmm.
or I'm imagining like a scene, and I'll be like in my car like making something up, like almost making up my own monologue. And then I realized I must, you're like, you must look like a complete weirdo. If you see someone walking down the street talking to themselves, you think, okay, that's crazy. And we need to get out of that. Who cares? Who cares if you look crazy? You're only learning, you're only practicing. Like it's not important. So I'm trying to get out of that. I'm like, who cares? And I think
Yeah.
the older you get, the less you care what people think. And I
I
feel so
remember.
much more comfortable. Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's okay. Sorry for cutting you off. I remember being in a bus, and I think it was eighth grade or something. And we looked over at, in school, and we looked over at this girl that was like talking to herself in her car, you know? And we're like, that girl is crazy. Till we realized she was singing in the car, you know?
Oh,
Like that's what, but she looked like she was talking to herself. We were like, that girl is crazy. What is she doing? This was pre like cell phones. Like the cell phones back then were like a brick, you know?
the brick. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the Zach Morris Saved by the Bell telephones that everybody would have. And but
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. But I was just always like when you were saying that, we got to get out of that mentality. We really do. But
Hmm.
it's once again, it's a child mentality of like, well, that
Hmm.
person's different than us because they're talking to themselves or whatever. What's his name? I think it was Vincent Price or no, John Carradine would walk down Hollywood Boulevard in a cape and he would recite Shakespeare. I don't know if he was practicing or he just did it for fun, but that's
Hmm.
what he would do. And I just love that. I love hearing that because, that just gives me hope for weirdos out
Hmm.
there,
Absolutely.
There's
And who wants to be just like everyone else?
no,
Like, oh, let
nobody.
me just sit quietly and be really insecure and not say what I'm thinking or feeling just so I can fit in and, you know,
Yeah, definitely.
not, I mean, it's crazy. And you grow out of it. You do grow out of it. But it's always that little like insecurity is always there. It's always
Yeah,
there.
actors have way more insecurity than people realize
Hmm.
because they have a lot more writing on them, at
Hmm.
that time. I mean, they have to like when a normal person sees a movie, right? They don't
Hmm.
see that there's like, they might not see that this person has to get to this particular area at this particular time, you know, or this shot, or they won't be in focus in the shot, right? So they have
Hmm.
to say their lines, which they have to already have them memorized or have it like ready to go. They have to go sit at that mark, and on top of that, they have a lot of doubters and people telling them that
Hmm.
they suck in some way or another because jealousy or whatever it is. But like they have all of those things that they've got writing on them, and it makes them very insecure. And you know, a lot of times as a director, I've got to just calm them down, from that
Hmm.
insecurity and tell them that they're doing great and everything, and remind them that because a lot of times they don't get that, and stuff. So they need to be. Do you feel like you need to be reassured a lot?
No, maybe when I was younger, not now, not so much now. Because people are I it's important not to be self-involved. People are very self-involved. And I think when you're not self-involved and you have like respect and appreciation for everybody and you focus on being a team instead of just an I think that you don't have all that time to feel that way. You know,
I
I
agree.
think, make sure everyone else is okay. Stop, people spend so much time. If you actually spent more time being concerned and worrying about other people, you're actually probably going to be happier than sitting there like obsessed with how you look and what you're wearing and how you sound and this and that. And I I I used to, but not for a very long time. No, I just don't.
So you're just
I don't.
like, yeah, well, that's good. Because that means that you've kind of evolved as an actress, and you're able to kind of
And
under what?
no, I was going to say like I like constructive criticism. I think, people that know everything don't know anything. If you can just, I'm okay with being wrong because if I'm on set and I'm doing something wrong and you tell me the correct way that I need to be doing it, then I'm learning something valuable. I'm not just going to go, if you don't tell me, if you just let me, oh, you're doing great, Danielle, when I'm not, then I'm going to go and I'm going to repeat that on the next set, on the next set, on the next set, and I'm never going to know. And I think that education is just the most valuable thing to all of us. I think it's so, so important. And when you when you think you know everything and when you like run around being a know-it-all, you really just don't know anything and you don't have anything to offer. And it's so important to take criticism and to listen to direction and to like just engage with the people that you're with in that moment. And people do not do this. And obviously not just in the film world. Like I, I've worked at some places and it's so toxic.
Hmm.
And it's because people think they know everything. There's jealousy, there's cattiness, nobody's trying to build the rest of the team up. They're just trying to, like do the right thing themselves. And I'm like, you're not going to accomplish anything constructive if you're not working as a team. And I'm completely fine with going on. I was actually supposed to go on to this movie or series, sorry, like a TV series, and I was going to act. I had a small role, and I was also going to be a first AD, which I've never done. And I told the director and producer, he wrote, directed, produced the piece. And I told him, I said, I've never done that before. And he said, that's fine. He said, it'll be, I said, I've been on sets and I've seen how things are done, and I definitely will be an asset. I'm not saying I'll be
Mm-hmm.
the perfect, employee, but he, I was just, I think being honest, I was very honest and upfront with him about that. And he actually was like, great, great. I've got so much to teach you. So this
It's
is,
good.
I actually never ended up doing that project because I had two family tragedies, and I had to go home. So that was it.
Wait, did you have
But
to go back home to England?
England,
Oh,
I did. I went home about 2 weeks ago.
oh.
Um, yeah,
So this is recent. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah. No, it's okay. It's life. Everybody
Yeah.
goes through loss, it's inevitable. But I said to the director, I'll let you know when I'm back in town. I said, I'm so sorry because I'm very punctual. I will not, I was so excited about this piece, and then something unexpected happened. And I was like, that has to take priority. I was very disappointed that I couldn't work on that episode. But at the same time, I was like, I'm
Yeah.
going to regret not going home more than I'm going to regret not working on this episode. So,
That's
yeah.
sort of
So
where
I'm,
you have to be. You have to be like, what's more important?
mhm,
The things that really matter to me, like, and then that's the other thing is like, acting and being in entertainment industry is great, and it should be like sort of, a job that you want to do. But in the end of the
mhm,
day, it's a job. Your life is way more important. And I think a lot of people have to understand that sometimes too, because some people take this stuff way too seriously, as in, for acting and other stuff. And I feel like, when it comes to like family or life, that takes precedence over everything else. Like, tragedies that happen,
definitely,
that takes precedence.
definitely. And some people I look at and I think, God, they just do everything. Like they just time everything perfectly. And with social media, like I follow people, and like my hugest inspiration in the whole world is Sophia Bush. And she, not even just as an actress, just as an activist, just as a person, just as a soul, like she just it's phenomenal. And I follow her, and like I admire her and I learn from her, and she definitely is a huge influence for me. And I think, how does she do all of that? She's here, and then she's here, and then she's at the White House, and then she's on a film, then she's in London doing theater, and then she's with friends and family. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like how on earth does she manage her
Time
time?
management.
But then I know, and I'm like, wow. But then I think, well, it's also just social media. It's just we portray the best version of ourselves. If you look at my Instagram, it's like, oh, here's me doing this film, and here's me on my date, and here's me having lunch, and here's me when I just got my hair done. Because you want to be positive, but at the same time, we need to be real. Like where I don't post, when I'm having a breakdown over something that's happened. I'm not like, oh,
Well,
this happened today,
and
because
I
it's just
mean,
not.
I feel you sort of should maybe, but like in the same
Mhm,
sense, maybe not. Like, there's got to be times where, you do post. Like somebody once said, this writer guy I know of, said that, in Instagram we always show our the best selves, right?
mhm, mhm,
But what he says in his classes is he tells everybody go take a picture of your messy bed, your messy room,
mhm,
and put it on Instagram, because people want to see that.
mhm.
People want to see people who are real. People don't want
Well,
to
it may
see everything being great all the time because it's not real.
exactly, and it's not. It's kind of helpful, and I mean, I should do it more. I should, but I'm kind of like Instagram. I just feel I I like posting my film pictures and everything, because it's a way to store them, because I
Hmm.
lose, like it's a good way to store them. And it's, it's like a collage. And sometimes when I'm feeling negative, I'll like look through pictures of me, my family, my friends. And I'm like, oh, this is so nice. I do have a great life. You know, it's not necessarily for the whole world. And also, sometimes you want to encourage people. And I follow this one lady, I can't remember her name, and she's not an actor, but she's an influencer and she's into fitness and health. And, she used to post, like she would filter all her pictures and videos, and now she started posting. She has like acne. She's absolutely drop dead gorgeous, and she has some acne on her face, and now she posts everything just with her face. Like, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm fit. This is me. And it's very encouraging. It's very inspiring. It's amazing. She's absolutely sensational.
See,
And I've
that's the
just been
stuff that's
following her
inspiring.
journey. Yeah.
Yeah. That more than people, like there are people on out there that will just post inspirational memes every
Hmm.
day, all the time. And that to me doesn't inspire me. What inspires me is seeing people actually doing stuff.
Hmm.
So then again, I got some flack for posting about my writing and how much I've been
Hmm.
enjoying it and everything. And then some dude was like, you're, basically saying you want people to kiss your butt, or whatever. And I'm like, it's not at all what I'm doing. I'm posting on my page, the accomplishments I'm having, whether or not,
Right.
so I know, like there's a lot of negative mindsets out there right now, and I kind of don't cater to that. Somebody
And
posts
you shouldn't.
that they got a part, say you post, I booked it, I got a part, I'm going to congratulate you. I'm not going around going, okay, well, she's booked 5 projects this week. She's just showing off, like that's ridiculous, you know?
There is nothing wrong with showing off. When
Yeah.
you have something to show off, then show off. God, people are so, and it's very transparent. It is the unhappy people that guy that said that to you, unhappy person, not happy with his accomplishments, maybe not having many accomplishments at the moment. And instead of using you as inspiration, he's attacking you. And
He said,
that's
I'm not the
that's
only one. That was the thing. And that was what even pissed me off even more is that he
and you're like,
actually,
oh,
because,
you mean, go ahead, sorry.
like, because he posted about it, then I commented, right? And I said, well, because he was saying like these people are never probably going to get their movies made anyway, or something like that. And I go, look, I'm only doing this to get more experience with my, and getting a manager and stuff. That's my goal, or whatever.
Hmm.
And actually, I'm not gonna lie, it's made me stop posting that stuff a little bit because of this little bit of a you know, little bit of judgment that I'm getting. And make wondering if maybe I'm getting that from other people too. And which I know is not true, but I'm just like I started realizing, oh crap, now every time I'm about to go post something, I'm like, should I post that? Should I not post that? And it's because of somebody's, you know, post
Hmm.
that made me feel like that.
And if you are so uninteresting to them, why are they following you? Why are they taking that time? Why are they taking valuable time out of their day to comment negative things on your post? I mean, if you were saying something, like if you were saying something cruel and hateful, then yeah, of course, confront that. They should
Mhm.
confront that. But you're doing nothing other than being positive and showing your work. I mean,
Right.
it's a portfolio of you. And you have
Yeah.
this podcast where you interview other people, and all you've done tonight is listen to me talk about myself. And I mean, that to me doesn't seem like somebody that's self-involved and only cares about their work. I mean, it's hard. You have to almost, my skin's getting tougher, just more so in the last few years, because I've just been confronted with a lot of that. I was very sheltered. I lived a very sheltered life, and now I'm like, come at me. I don't care. Say what you want. Like, I do not care. I'm not. if I'm being a good person, like if I'm living my life as a good person, who makes mistakes? But if you're living your life as a good person and you're doing what you love, then I don't think anything else really matters,
Hmm.
honestly.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've talked like, how long have we talked? It's been almost an hour, but
Yeah.
I'd like to know more, a couple more things.
Yeah, of course.
So let's get into sort of like, what's your like dream role? What's a role that you would
Mm.
absolutely love to play?
Ah, God. Mm. Like a supernatural character, like a vampire. I'm sorry, but that is like my dream role.
You know
Or a
what?
vampire slayer.
Oh,
Buffy the Vampire Slayer number
y-
two.
you could
That
be
would be
like
my dream role.
Angel, like the
Hmm.
female version of Angel, and be like
Hmm.
a vampire who slays other vampires, or like
A
Blade, I guess. That's
vampire
Blade.
slayer. Mm.
Like a female
That would be
Blade.
fun. That would be fun. Like a
Yeah.
fighting role. I really want to learn how to like fight, like do stunts. I do boxing. I go to boxing. I've been doing boxing for
Okay, you've
about
been
six
doing
months.
boxing? That's
But
cool.
I would like to do Brazilian martial arts, and I would definitely love to learn more stunt work, just to
Oh,
give me more opportunity and for roles, different types of roles. But yeah, something like supernatural like that. And I always loved those shows. I always like Supernatural, Buffy, Angel. Uh, what other ones were there? There were so
Vampire
many.
Diaries.
Vampire. Oh, of course, Vampire Diaries,
Which is
definitely. True
funny.
Blood.
It's actually weirdly enough, at first it was like one of those things where you could not be a guy in straight and tell people that you liked Vampire Diaries. And then people started watching it, and they started saying, okay, all right, I like it's not Twilight, and it's written by the
Mm-hmm.
guy co-written by the creator of Scream.
Oh,
So
Twilight. Oh, really? Oh, okay. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
Kevin Williamson co-created
Yeah.
Vampire Diaries.
Oh, cool. Oh,
Yeah.
Twilight's another one. Love Twilight. But I must say, my boyfriend hates Vampire Diaries. I try so hard to get him to watch it, and just
It's not for everybody, I guess. I haven't watched True Blood. I think that
oh,
would be okay. So
he's seen
there you
all of
go.
True Blood. So have I. I love that show.
Yeah.
That's definitely wider audience, I would say. Yeah, I would love to play a like a physically strong character, something fantasy like, something that, and I'd also like to play, like a Regina George and me, though, something simple, something that could be real life, a more realistic role. But I definitely would, yeah, definitely like a vampire villain, something along those lines. That would be
Vampire
my dream
Slayer.
role.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's great.
Hmm.
I like that.
Or vampire. Yeah, definitely.
That's very cool. I like, I like hearing people's dream roles because some are different and some are similar. And I think definitely Supernatural is more of something people like to do because I mean you can't be a vampire in real life. I mean, you can think you're one or whatever, but you can't really
Yeah.
be one. You can't be I mean, you could be a serial killer, but you're probably not going to be a serial killer unless that's,
Yeah,
so
I hope not.
I hope not too.
Yeah.
There are like a couple movies where I know like there's one called Method. Elizabeth Hurley, I think, was the star of that, and she was like a method actress or something
Hmm.
who was also playing like the serial killer. So as a method actress, she was actually going around killing people, like or whatever, I guess. I don't know. I haven't seen it in forever, but
I'll
I
have to give
remember
that a
hearing
watch.
that. Jeremy Sisto is in that too, which I don't know if you know him from like 6 Feet Under and
Yeah, Six
Clueless
Feet
and
Under.
and whatnot. Fantastic actor.
All the
But
good
anyway,
ones. Hmm.
I think it's on Tubi. I'm pretty sure it's on Tubi.
Tubi.
So
Okay,
yeah.
cool. I'll
But it's
have
called
to
Method.
give that one a watch. Method.
Yeah. I always recommend like because I always see indie film. Well, yeah, I think Method was an indie film. But I see like indie films and or ones that people don't really know about and kind of just
Hmm.
let people know about them because that's pretty cool, you know. Um,
Oh yeah, definitely.
so what so you okay, so your dream role, what is like okay, what do you want to do besides like be an actor? Like if you could do other stuff in the industry, but is there other stuff you'd like to pursue?
Probably writing my own stories, writing my own plays, writing my own films.
Have you tried that yet?
I I have. I've written some monologues. I've always liked writing. I've always enjoyed writing. I do have a blog. It's mostly nonfiction, I would say. But I need to like, stop procrastinating. I write a lot of short, like kind of short stories, monologues. I would like to take the time to write like a whole like feature, maybe, or even a short film. But
That would be cool. Like I
I
would
can't
love
even
that.
sit still now. I can't even sit still now, like honestly. And my attention span is terrible. So I do plan to write a feature film. A friend of mine has started. We were kind of talking about writing one together, putting our ideas together and editing each other's work.
That would be great.
And another friend of mine, we were talking about, we have very different tastes though. So I'm not sure
Well, if you write
how that
a
would.
script, I would recommend, and you're writing with a co-writer, I would recommend
Hmm.
writer duet.
Hmm.
I use it. And I have because I have many co-writers I work with, mainly women, because
Okay.
I do believe like sometimes it's better to get a different person's perspective, especially somebody of the opposite sex, because I understand guys, or at least I understand me, and
Hmm.
stuff. I may not understand uh what goes on in a woman's head as much, and stuff. And that's where hopefully a co-writer can come in and fix up.
Hmm.
But writer duet, is I think it's like $10 a month, but it's like so worth it. When you
Okay.
get like unlimited stuff. And I started doing that recently and I fell in love. So it's
Okay.
something I'm not
Yeah, I'll check that
sponsored,
out.
even though if they want to sponsor me, they can. I'm not sponsored by them, but I do. I really like I give them props.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah, I'll have a look. I'll have a look into that.
Definitely. Is there anything that you've been working on lately?
Not so much, no. Just ideas mostly. And I wrote a couple of monologues maybe last year. But that's kind of one of my goals for this year
I mean, as far as
is to
acting
write.
goes, though, are you shooting anything soon or?
Oh, okay. Next Saturday I have some scenes. I have to drive to Somerset. So I think it's about a 3 hour drive and I film all day. It's the 22nd, all day that day. And then I have a couple of other short films that I'm filming in May. And then that's that for right now. And then I have a few auditions coming up from like roles I submitted to.
That's
So
awesome.
we'll kind of see how that goes. But
Yeah.
like I said, I'm trying not to do too much at once.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to overextend yourself, You kind of want
Mhm.
to pace yourself, and everything. And I know it sounds like you've kind of got the same issues that I've got where I just want to do everything all the time and just, I'm doing like 20 podcasts. This isn't my only one.
Oh, cool.
And it's funny because in May which is coming right up, we're just taking a break from a lot of these things and then going toward just focusing on one to finish that, then going back to the other stuff. So in the fall. So
Okay.
I totally got where you were saying before about doing so much, together. You know what I mean? Like you need to
Yeah.
kind of pace yourself and kind of figure everything else out. So,
Yeah.
is there what advice would you give somebody who's just getting into the business?
I would networking. I think that is very, very important. I mean, because some of the roles I get are from people that already know me from previous projects and they reach out to me, hey, are you interested? It's like when you are people are applying to a job, say you apply to a job on Indeed, 10 people apply from inside the business. They're going to get hired. They're going to look for people they already know do a good job. They know they're punctual, they know they're reliable instead of looking for candidates, looking for other actors that, they've never seen their work, they don't know them, they don't know their dependability. And I think, just network, just at first get involved in, if you don't have any experience, get involved in as many projects as you can. Absolutely. Just to get the experience. You don't have to, like, I filter things out of my reel. Like, I have a reel of my work and I'll go in and I'll be like, oh, I wasn't doing very good that day. I'll just take that one out. Or,
Right.
oh, that's when I was just getting started. Or, oh, I definitely made a couple of mistakes there. And I'll kind of gain more experience and I'll add in. I'm like, wow, I did such a good job there because I've been to all these workshops this year and I would really rehearse my lines and I'll put that in and that'll impress them. But when you're getting started, you just need to meet people and gain experience. And that's your face. You need to put your face out there. And I think that's definitely what helped me, especially moving here because I didn't know anyone. I moved here and I joined all the Facebook groups, Actors Access, met went to lots of workshops, corresponded with casting directors and networking events. And that's definitely how I got the majority of my work. So yeah, that's definitely what I would tell
Do you
people to do.
do you have a business card? Like, is that how you hand things out, or how do you do that?
I mean, a lot of it's online. I do have a business card somewhere. I have a whole thing of them. I went to a film event recently, 502 film, and I actually did meet some people there and a lot of people I already knew and handed out some cards and that was a great night because there were a lot of local independent filmmakers, storytellers, actors, producers. Um, you just have to keep researching. You have to every day. I'll go online and I'll just every morning, have a look what's going on. What projects are coming into town, and then sometimes people I know they'll reach out to me if a new project's coming to town, then there's at least two or three people that will message me like, oh, I'm just making sure you've heard about this project. They're looking for actors or they're looking for behind the scenes. So yeah,
There's a lot
definitely.
of movies getting made on like Indiegogo, and
Hmm.
if they get like over their budget or whatever, they will like actually fly out actors and stuff too,
Oh
or
yeah.
whatever, because I know one project's like out in California, so I'm pretty sure they don't ask the actors to fly themselves out, from all the way across the country. They do that,
Hmm.
but that just depends on the project and that depends on the budget and everything. And so you mostly work with local people, so I get it, like, with that. So you do that,
Yeah.
but then if you get something in Atlanta or whatever and you can do it, if you can make it, and stuff, I'm sure you'll do that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much. You're a doll. Like you're just a sweetheart. And
Oh, thank you.
yes, and I enjoyed your conversation. I enjoyed like just the way you are, way you hold yourself and the stuff that you know. You know what I mean? Like you've learned a lot from this business. And so hopefully you just continue to learn, doing the workshops and doing the different things that you're doing, and then, and continue to evolve as an actress. And hopefully I'll see you in Hollywood someday, or whatever,
Oh,
if that's your
maybe.
goal, if that's a goal of yours or something. Sure, that's a
Yeah.
lot of people's goals, or whatever. Just got,
Oh my goodness.
but yeah, I can't wait to see more stuff from you. And yeah, so you said the one show, was the Pure and the Prestige, is that
The the Pure and the Damned. The
the
Pure and
Pure
the
and the
Damned.
Damned?
It's on Amazon Prime. I think you can get all three episodes for $5, I
Okay.
believe, $4 or $5. I know that it's available in the US and I believe in the UK. And then another one, it's on Up TV. So you can see that one on cable, or if you have the Philo app and you go onto Up TV, it's called Something's Brewing. That's the new one that I worked on. I had a very small role and I worked behind the scenes for the whole
As the
movie.
location manager, that's the location manager one.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
Ah, so you
Both
found
great
all the
pieces. You should
locations.
check
We're
them
gonna
out.
see, watch the movie and we'll see all the locations. We'll be like, yeah.
Well, some of them. Mostly they had a location scout and then I was kind of managing everything
Okay.
else. But yeah, that you'll recognize the Brown Hotel and where else did we film? Oh my goodness. Um, some parks out in Louisville, Brown Hotel, softball field. I forget the names. I'm not from here, so I forget the names. Softball field out in Louisville, the theater building downtown.
That's
You'll
awesome.
you'll recognize the streets. You'll recognize the downtown area when you watch the film.
I've only been
The
to Louisville once, and it was for a
oh
horror
yeah.
convention, actually. It was a horror convention called Fright Night Film Fest. I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but I think they still.
No,
Uh,
I've heard of it. I've
you've been there?
No, I haven't. I've not been there, but I would like to. That
You
would
should
be
you
fun.
should definitely go to
I should start going to
there's
some.
there's also some in like Lexington and whatnot, but like it's definitely, they're definitely fun, and especially if you like vampire stuff,
Hmm.
you can dress up like a vampire and go there and maybe pass out cards and say, this is what I want to, like, do you have any
Yeah,
vampire
cast me as a
roles?
vampire. Hmm.
Yeah, there you go.
That's
Cast
so
me as a
cool.
vampire. You know, um, I could
Oh
see that.
wow.
I could see you playing a vampire and having a lot of fun with that. So
Oh, I
yeah.
would. I would.
Well, once again, thank you. How can people like reach you? Like, what's your website?
So my IMDb is Danielle Louise Monday with a U, and then my Instagram is also Danielle Louise Monday.
And do you have a
So
website? Do you have an official website or anything?
I don't. I should create one. Just my IMDb. I do have a for my other business. I have a website, but for my acting, I've just been kind of using my IMDb and my Instagram.
And I think I saw like on your Instagram you had like a I forgot what they're called, whatever the links are that you have, where you can go there and you can see all the stuff. Like you can see your reel. They can see, which I've seen. I enjoyed. And you can see just all the stuff that you're, other stuff that you're doing. So
Yeah. Oh, the link tree. The link tree. Yeah, I put some things on there. There's a really fascinating story about my biological father that I found that he didn't know I existed. So there's a whole news article on there about that as well.
that sounds like
So,
a whole nother story that you
I
said
know.
that
Yeah,
you
for
wrote
another
about
time.
that, like, or something.
I did. I did. I
Oh,
wrote. Well, there were newspaper articles about that. And also I did write a blog about that as well. But
that's
that's a long, long, long story. But yeah,
interesting.
you can
Yeah.
read about it if you go onto my Instagram.
Hey, that also sounds like it could be its own movie,
Oh yeah. Oh, but I mean, it's so common now with all their ancestry and 23andMe. I mean, people are finding siblings and parents, and
Yeah, but that's like
So,
that's a great thing for a movie because that is
hmm
topical right now is, the idea of finding the person who you didn't even maybe you or they didn't know, you both
yeah,
existed.
it's,
So
yeah. I do. I
interesting.
have a sister. I have a sister, and I just met her 2 weeks ago. That was amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
So great. I love
very,
that.
very
You know.
cool. Very cool.
Well, I hope they're listening and checking this out. And everybody else, check out Danielle's stuff, like she said on Instagram. That's how I found her is on Instagram. And there's just so much going on. So go to her Instagram, check out her stuff. She's got tons of information about what's going on in her world. And her IMDb. So there you go. And everybody, check back next week. There should be another episode coming. I think there's going to be two more or three more, and then we're going to take a little bit of a break. So, just want to let everybody know. But thank you so much, and I can't wait. We'll have to have you back on sometime, like next year or something, and just
That would be
find out
great.
if there's
Yeah.
anything extra that you've been talking
hmm
about. Maybe you found another relative that you
No,
didn't know exists.
maybe it's likely. It's likely.
These days, you just never know, and then they just pop
hmm
up now, right? Like, I don't know.
Oh my
Everybody's
goodness.
figuring this stuff out. All
Yeah.
right. Well, thank you so much. And everybody else, hope you guys enjoyed this. Until next time, have a good one.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you.